Welcome back, it's Lionel, tech lead and partner at Westfall. Today, I want to talk to you guys about a differentiation between PHP and Node.js, and I found a really interesting example. Over the last few days, I've been sitting back, I've been kicking back, I've been watching some of these YouTube videos, especially another channel creator called theradbrad, and I saw two very interesting games, both fantastic games, and suddenly this occurred to me about the differences between PHP and Node.js, especially the one key factor, which is blocking versus unblocking. Now, these two games that theradbrad was talking about that I was watching, one of them was the latest game in the market, Ghost of Tsushima, this open world samurai adventure. And the other one is quite an old game, 2017, but one of the best known PS4 games, Uncharted 4. And what really occurred to me, right, is how these two games can be so good and be on two different ways of playing it. So let me give you some backstory here. First, we'll start with Ghost of Tsushima, right? So that's an open world samurai game. And in this, you go from event to event, tales or quests as how they go it. And only after doing some of that, you advance the storyline. Okay, this to me is a great example of non-blocking. That means any event can come in any kind of order. The only way that you can decide how they can fit together is actually by explicitly stating it. Okay, you can go in any order, you can explore, you can go left and you can go right. So that's non-blocking. Uncharted is this wonderful story game, right, where it is blocking. You cannot go to the next quest or the next stage without completing this current stage. It's so blocking. It's like tuk, 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 step by step. And in a way, this represents the kind of coding languages that you both see. PHP, blocking, step by step. Node.js, non-blocking, multi-events happening at the same time. So at this point of time, you would like to say this criticism that gets to PHP is that PHP is an old language. The new way of the future is open world. And this made me think about what exactly makes a great game and what exactly are we trying to get through. Now, I'm going to talk about some of the cons that I noticed with non-blocking, which is the first thing that happens is that you can have the events actually occurring in a way that doesn't make any sense. For example, you could become a level 99 samurai and then come back and then finish all the early missions. So this is kind of event handling, right? It's actually very confusing for non-blocking. You can have some coming in earlier, some coming back later. You can have them together. Always notice some of these open world games, right, where the characters that are talking to you don't seem to be relevant to the position where you are. You're so high level, you don't really need to complete those events. That is one of the cons of open world. That's one. The second one is that you can actually be lost because there's so many things happening at the same time. And that occurs in programming as well. There's so many events, you're not actually looking out, and you're often seeing some sort of logic mismatch in open world, like you may have completed another task that affected one, and the characters are still stuck in that mode. So event staggering and scheduling is very, very important in that kind of language. But what I really wanted to say in the final conclusion between Uncharted and Ghost of Tsushima, right, was what exactly mattered is about actually creating a great game. And in Uncharted 4, right, what I noticed is that even though it was blocking, the developers then could spend their time focusing on other things such as character development. The characters are richer, more in detail, whereas in the open world, because of the eventing, they're very limited. They don't get very deep. That's one of the things. The second thing is the in-depth of each of the scenarios, right? The puzzles, the environment, everything about Uncharted because we were only focusing on that event at the same time, you were only going to pass through that one time, they could spend so much more time building out, making the game much more rich and in depth. And you'll see that. You'll see the beautiful clock tower scene. You'll see that wonderful ship from on top. You'll see the background with the mountain. These are all because they could focus on where the character was at that point in the blocking scenario. That similar works for PHP. Now, the final point about this is that what Uncharted can demonstrate is that you can still build beautiful games, be it blocking. It's not just about the technology, it's about the story, it's about the overall coding of a system. So very interesting about this. Go back, check out these two wonderful games, even if you're looking, experience the difference between the blocking and the non-blocking. Make your own decision. You see, whether you feel involved in that game, whether they did a really good job. It takes nothing away from Naughty Dog and how they've done Last of Us and the Uncharted, and also a really good job done by Suckerpunch in Ghost of Tsushima. Both of them, very good style. It doesn't really matter whether it's blocking or not blocking. It's about the developers and the programmers and the people that have passion in the project. So that's the bottom line. I'm the tech lead, and that's what the tech lead said.